Hello YouTubers, this is Gold Standard 924 coming at you with another video. I'm going to start up another entry in this network TV fantasy schedule series for today. And in this video I'll be talking about a particular TV station that went through a massive revamp in recent months. And that particular TV station I'm referring to specifically is Cartoon Network's sister channel, Boomerang. So Boomerang has been around since the year 2000. It started off as a programming block on Cartoon Network, and then eventually it separated itself from the main cable channel from Cartoon Network into having its own 24/7 cable outlet. And it's been the home of many classic cartoons from the baby boomer generation, hence the keyword boom, the boomer as in boomerang. So yeah, so they aired a lot of your Looney Tunes, your Merry Melody shows, Hanna-Barbera classics like Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, Jetsons, Wacky Races, list goes on. So Boomerang, went through a recent revamp in recent months with the change in the bumpers and the logo, the Content ID station, which is like more of like a square as opposed to the capitalized B for Boomerang that it's been known for using. And it's gotten a pretty lukewarm reception for many longtime fans of the network that have tuned into Boomerang to catch some of their favorite shows that they grew up watching. And not only that, they're airing, changed the target audience around from the baby boomers to more of like the millennial generation, people that were born somewhere around the middle late 90s, but more towards the beginning of the 21st century. And things have been changing for the network. And me personally, I've been looking around the schedule, and I guess I could understand why they want to revamp the channel, because I think because when back in the day, before Boomerang, Cartoon Network was basically, in its first few years, has been the home for many rerun. It was basically a rerun station of a lot of a lot of cartoons from previous decades. And it wasn't until many years later that they decided to start investing in original programming. And you had the first one being Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was like this cartoon slash hybrid live action talk show, which was very groundbreaking and unique for its time. And then you also had the What a Cartoon Show, which was like an experimental half-hour cartoon show showcasing a lot of shorts from various creators of specific cartoons. A lot of cartoons came out from that particular short, such as Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog. The prototype for what would become Family Guy, which was called Larry and Steve, which was created by Seth MacFarlane. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is that, Cartoon Network, had to, start to kind of think outside the box and start to expand their library a lot more by making investment and creating their own set of programs. And because you could have like a rerun station for so long, and the general viewers just won't buy it for very long, because you'll show the same shows, and people in those reruns get stale over time, especially in the long run. So I can understand maybe with Boomerang that kind of goes in the similar situation, because it was basically a rerun station for most of its existence since its inception in 2000. And then over the years they started airing more recent cartoons, especially like around the mid 2000s when they brought over the reruns of cartoons, since a lot of them were no longer airing on Cartoon Network by that point. And so a lot of the 90s cartoons went over to Boomerang. So you could start seeing the tides turn from the original inception, just basically showing cartoons from decades prior, like way back when, like during the black and white days. so yeah, so now we've gotten into the 2010s, and after so many years, Boomerang, the people that were working for that station ended up making significant changes to that station, and especially in the U.S. They already actually rebranded in other countries like Germany many years before that with an entirely different logo and bumpers and all that sort of thing. So I think a lot of people kind of caught off guard basically. So what I would do here is just kind of lay out my own suggestions of how I would operate the schedule and just the overall direction of the network. I'm not saying I'm an expert when it comes to this sort of stuff. I'm pretty sure there were some guidelines I would have to follow if I had to do this in a realistic stance. So I'm not, acting like I am a network executive, like that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna try my best and see what's available in their library. I can't guarantee a lot of the shows that they have now are anywhere in Cartoon Network's library or Ted Turner's perhaps. So I mean, I'm just gonna basically let out my ideas, rather than just ranting and rambling on how the station sucks and it's not the same as it used to be, and that formulaic trend that a lot of YouTubers make rants on. Yeah, so without further ado, I'm just gonna try and provide the schedule down in the description box below. So if you have watched my previous 2 Network Fantasy schedules, you pretty much know the drill, but just to kind of reiterate, I'm just going to post a majority of my my sample weekday schedule on the description box for you guys to see. But I'm just going to kind of lay out my ideas, just basically how I would structure the network to some degree. So I think what I would do is, because Boomerang, they just went through a rebrand, so you're basically kind of lost your way in terms of the catering towards your original target audience, because the original plan for Boomerang, like I mentioned a couple minutes earlier, is that it was a station targeted specifically or primarily in the baby boomer generation, people that were born in the 50s, 60s, sometime after World War II. So that's where the name of the station sort of derived from. But nowadays, like now, where you're aiming towards a more younger audience that weren't alive during the Cold War era and stuff, and you're aiming towards more like at millennials, the 2000s century, 21st century kids. What I would do is also basically rename this, the TV station, just basically change the direction of it even more, and scratch the Boomerang name as, from being a 24/7 outlet, and rather just rebrand once more by changing the TV station ID and the name to a very simple yet effective TV name. And that particular TV station I would rename it to is Checkerboard. And basically this is kind of a subtle allusion to the original logo for Cartoon Network from 1992 to 2004. So it's not a direct retro channel all the way. It will be to some degree, but Checkerboard is kind of like more of a more broader name for a network. You're not being as specific in terms of the content that you'll be providing on the channel, whereas Boomerang, you have like shows from supposed to be in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s. So the Boomerang name will be dropped from the 24/7, and I would just rename it to Checkerboard to be kind of like a subtle throwback to the original Cartoon Network, but also inputting more original content on there. So a lot of you're going to see like a lot of newer shows, which is basically the direction that they're going with anyway. So Checkerboard would be kind of like your alternative outlet to Cartoon Network in a way. And it won't be just like a dumping ground as it appears for now, but over time it's going to be kind of more of like a, it should be more like an all variety station. So that's the name of my new network there. And so I would also, with that, I would also implement some programming blocks to kind of, it's not really that hard to describe it, but you'll have all these programming blocks to mix in a certain amount of TV shows that you have acquired and put them into a specific hourly time slot where there's a specific reason as to why this show's airing back to back and stuff. So for instance, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I have a block called Acme Academy, and this is basically a 3-hour programming block reserved for a lot of Warner Brothers and Looney Tune related cartoons that have been produced over the years. So basically what we have here is shows featured down the description box, if you could see. You have your Looney Tunes, a 1-hour Looney Tunes is kind of like your main staple of that block. You also have other incarnation of Looney Tunes such as Duck Dodgers, Baby Looney Tunes, the Bugs and Daffy Show, which is basically just a compilation of shorts featuring Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. So it's basically kind of like Looney Tunes, but it's only just Bugs and Daffy. Which was kind of like what they did on Cartoon Network, so I don't think it should be a problem with that. And then also another show, I guess it's kind of a toss-up at first, and this was supposed to be either the Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries or the Looney Tunes show. Now with Sylvester and Tweety, it's a pretty hidden gem nowadays. It came out around the mid-90s during the beginning days of Kids WB. Cartoon Network used to show the reruns of it around like the early 2000s, but you know, after 2003 they kind of stopped showing the reruns and hasn't been aired on TV ever since. I mean, it's a very long time since the cartoon has aired, and you know, it's one of those shows that just kind of fell into a very oblivion, very obscurity. Perhaps and the Looney Tunes show is a pretty recent show, especially in terms of you know, the target audience you're currently catered towards for the Checkerboard. So the Looney Tunes show would be more, if you had to pick between one of those two shows, basically. You know, because Sylvester and Tweety is owned by Warner Brothers, and you know, Ted Turner would have to require to pay the rights to air a lot of the Warner Brothers cartoons, especially the ones that they no longer have the rights to. So it might be pretty expensive to pay. So if they can't get the rights to Sylvester and Tweety, you might as well just replace it with the Looney Tunes show, since it's, like I said, it's a more recent show and it's a cartoon that, you know, the new generation of kids are more familiar with. So I think if you look at it from from that point of view, you know, that sort of logic, the Looney Tunes show would probably be the latter, the legit option to choose. So yeah, so that's basically all the shows that are featured on Acme Academy. And then in the afternoons, you also have a little action block. It's sort of like Boomerang, but I didn't name it Boomerang because, you know, now that Boomerang's no longer a 24/7 station, so I couldn't really think of a particular action block name I wanted to give. So it's kind of up to the network executives to make that decision. So I'm just kind of giving them that opportunity to plan out accordingly as to the direction of their little action adventure block is going to be. So it's going to be for 2 hours. It's very Toonami-esque, kind of a subtle throwback to the days when Cartoon Network would show afternoon action cartoons during the the sunset hours. So yeah, so you have your Pokemons, your Samurai Jacks, your Justice Leagues, the Teen Titans, and even some of the other recent ones that were either canceled or they're still running. Most of them, I believe, they were canceled. Young Justice and the Green Lantern cartoon. So so those are the notable cartoons I listed down there. I think at some point they're gonna also implement some original content as well. So so eventually you'll probably have to rotate here and there as to what shows would air during a specific day, and just to kind of keep the block a little fresh and kind of keep the network, preventing it from being stale in a way. So the Untitled Action block would be kind of a way to differentiate yourself from the comedy cartoons and a lot of the lighthearted stuff. So this is kind of contrast in the sense that you're watching like these action cartoons where it's a lot of fight scenes and a lot of drama and serialized topics and whatnot. Yeah, so this is basically what the action block is going to be reserved for. So there you have it, that. And then afterwards we have the our evening hours from 7 to 10 p.m. would be the Cartoon or the Checkerboard Funhouse. I'm kind of tossed up as well because at some point, like I mentioned, you're going to have some newer content. And you can also have your cartoons. That was kind of like the original plan. It might be the plan for the time being, just kind of like placeholders until there's new shows to be produced and to be greenlit into a TV series. So so I guess you could, for now, you might as well just call it the Cartoon Funhouse, but just to be more of a block devoted to a lot of the cartoons from Cartoon Network's heyday. So you'll have your Powerpuff Girls, your Dexter's Laboratory, your Johnny Bravo's, Billy Mandy, Ed and Eddy, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and probably other cartoons, especially maybe forgotten ones. Maybe once in the blue moon, they'll probably have them air some other obscure cartoons like a Time Squad or a Sheep in the Big City of sorts, but no guarantees. But I'm kind of opening up some possibilities there. So yeah, so it's gonna be basically kind of more like these shows are gonna become more like placeholders for the time being, and then when some of the original programming starts kicking into gear, then it would be a safe bet to have the block change its name from the Cartoon to more the Checkerboard Funhouse, which is basically kind of like your main block outlet for new episodes and new programs. So that's basically what the whole idea when it comes to this sort of thing. So that's that, and then to kind of close out the evening or the daytime, however you want to put it. So I'm gonna actually close it out with I know I said I got rid of Boomerang as a 24/7 station, but I didn't say I was gonna get rid of it completely. So what I would do is reduce the Boomerang station from that into more of a, just kind of relegate it into its own little Nick at Night sort of block, just from 10 to 6 in the morning. Boomerang would be the home to a lot of your classic shows, your Scooby-Doo's, your Smurfs, your Flintstones, Jetsons, what have you. So yeah, so I'm gonna keep Boomerang, but as like a programming block, like it was, when it was on Cartoon Network, because they normally air it on like the weekends, and then you had your own. They were basically when Boomerang was a block on Cartoon Network, it was basically kind of like a spotlight to kind of showcase you the different old school cartoons that were on there. So it kind of encourages viewers to have an idea to maybe whether or not to consider purchasing Boomerang and having the ability to watch it through their cable channels or their TV, basically. So here I'm just gonna basically kind of relegate that into like a little block on the new channel. So so it's gonna take up like the remaining half. I mean, it doesn't really have to like. It's one of those times where you just don't really have that many cartoons to air. So I thought this would be like a perfect opportunity to maybe use that to kind of fill up the rest of the block and to kind of because normally when you air stuff like during the graveyard shift hours, they don't normally run new episodes unless you're like Adult Swim or you're like Toonami. But hopefully it doesn't like ruin the I don't know what I want to try to say here, but hopefully that Boomerang doesn't, with the reruns, it doesn't really change the fact that having a little old school type of block doesn't hurt it. But anyway, so Boomerang would be kind of like your Nick at Night. Your 90s Are All That on Teen Nick. It would be kind of like Disney Replay on Disney Channel, where they just show like a lot of their older content. So so I mean, if they're able to do that, then I don't really see what the harm is for having to have Boomerang be sort of a rerun station block for the rest of the evening hours. So so that's pretty much my idea for the checkerboard concept. I hope I explained it as best as I can. Let me know what you all think down in the description box below. Were there some ideas that you like? Were there some things that you would do differently, or other ideas that you would like to add? I won't say this is a perfect schedule, but I would like to think it's a lot better than what we have at the moment. And I'm not trying to, come off as cocky whatsoever. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what you all think. And until next time, this is Gold Standard 924 signing out.